Sri Lanka Business TV.
We are here to listen to a wonderful story of one of the pioneers in Sri Lanka tea industry. Welcome to our channel, Mr. Merrill J Fernando, former CEO of Dilmah tea brand. I will start from a very simple question. Tell me about your story as a young lad, a kid, from where you start your love for tea.
Well, my early life is that of most boys living in villages. I lived in a wonderful village called Pallatsena, blessed with nature, rivers, canals, sea on one side, beautiful nature, trees. And I enjoyed so much that to this date, I really reflect on my earlier times. And I try to share them with my children and grandchildren. Some do, some don't understand. Some don't cannot visualize something like that. And in the village of Pallansena, people were, I would say, 99% Christians. All the villages from maybe Vattala on the west coast, right up to maybe Chilau, were Christians. They were under the Portuguese occupation. And even Nigambo, 6 miles away from Kuchikade, was known as Little Rome. And all the people were gentle, respectable. They helped one another. And I came from a humble home. My parents were my guardians and mentors and loved me and I loved them. And the lessons my mother is particularly taught me, guided me up to this day. Because the village habits were not justifiable today. For example, the whole village would be awake but at 5:30 in the morning, and they would be asleep at 7:30 in the evening. So that is why village life then was very healthy. I loved it. And on Sunday, we all go to mass in the village church, and there were services at 5:30, 8 and 9:30 in the morning. But my parents used to wake me at 5 o'clock to go to the 5:30 mass. And we go to sometimes fast asleep in the church. We come back, and one day I asked my mother, why can't we go to 9:30 mass or 8 o'clock mass? No, you have to start the day with prayer, and this is what we have to do. And they insisted that I go with them. And say in the village, the family is the key success. And the family does things together. And my mother had a very, very good habit in caring for the neighbors. I would visit them and talk to them and help them in whatever it is. And we had a veranda like this in our home. And she used to sit down on a small chair and say the rosary all the time. And people who go to the local kade or to the Kochikade fish market or vegetable market or whatever it is, would stop by and say, Madam, I am going so and so, do you want me to buy anything for you? And often they say, here are 2 mangoes from our garden. Somebody else will say there are some vegetables. Or some other lady will say, my husband caught some fish, here is some fish for you. So, and likewise, she used to care for them and give them whatever things. But what annoyed me and hurt me was that the goodies I get, like chocolates, cakes, any sort of sweets, she cuts in half And yes, I used to fight with her and say, cry. She took no notice of me, but kept on her bad habit. And that kind of caring and sharing, I am able to practice today without disgruntling or without feeling I have to do it. But I am just doing it. So, the village, I would rate that as any good village in the country at that time. So, in the 1930s and 40s. And I would go anywhere in the world. I have traveled so many places, I never found a place like that. Healthy, sea on one side, there's a huge river, then the Dutch Canal, and lots of things to do. And I had my local schoolboy friends, and we used to play cricket on the road. We'd cut the coconut branch and make the bottom. We could cut the rest of it, make the cricket bat and play tennis ball. Sometimes when you can't afford to buy a tennis ball, we buy, kaduru balls. Kaduru, what is that? We play with them. And then there were so many of my friends, the village boys, and I used to go swimming with them and to the canal, to the river, and we had a great time. My mother used to be very protective of me, and when she knows I'm with the boys and going down, she knows I'm going to swim. 5 minutes. Then the dog, I had a very beautiful dog and very faithful dog. Dog follows me wherever. So we swim in the river. And the dog is with me about 3 feet away. And then I see, then my friends say, and Lucinona Mahatyano. She comes there and says, she scolds all the other children. Me. Baba Guinea and I said, and Mama, Egullo, Mama. He doesn't listen, she would say, but she kept doing that till I moved out of the village and came to.
Were you the only kid in your family, or?
No, I have 6 in the family, 3 sisters, 3 males, 2 brothers. But I was the youngest, and so I was alone at home, so she made all this fuss about me. But then from the village, I walked to the railway station, which is about a mile, and walked back in the evening. Just one station, train ride from Kochikadi to Nigambo. And the Nigambo railway station, which is an 8-minute journey, the Nigambo railway station, I would walk again about maybe just less than a mile to Maristela College, walk back in the evening. And I enjoyed all of it. And on Saturdays we would play cricket, or we also had a game called LA in the village. And we had about 20-30 people play. It was a lot of fun then. And as I went to school, came to Colombo, and had less and less to do with the village, I used to go once a month to see my parents. And I used to take things to give the villagers, and my old school friends, they used to come and talk to me. Then when my parents passed away, I now go for church events. I help the church in every possible way. And I go once a year on the second Saturday or Sunday in December, taking dry rations, which would last a family about 2 weeks from Christmas until the New Year. I started giving, I think, 175 of those parcels. Then 170. Now today I give about 250 parcels to the poor families there. And the priest several times said, this Mr. Fernando is an exception, because as far as I know, people from a village go to the city and make good and are successful, they forget the village. Here, he is always coming back to the village, talking to you, talking to his old friends. And my now, last time, I sent the food parcels with my two nephews. I couldn't go because of COVID. And there, whenever I go, some of the people with whom I played cricket and all, they would come and say, "Mataka neda." Oh, Mataka. Then we give them. Then they say they have got diabetes. Plus, I give them money to help them. And so my attachment to the village remains very strong. And from there, I moved to Colombo. And then during my school holidays, I used to go to Pundloya, Ramboda, to my friend's tea estates. Mr. S. Tondaman Senior, who was the president of the CWC trade union, and his nephews, Madhavan, Arubugam, Karupoya, all very nice people. They had so many estates. And I would stay with them a week or two and enjoy the real estate life, fresh air, beautiful smells, beautiful wood.
Was it then that you started building your love for tea?
Yes, it was. Then it remained in my mind. And I like the estates. I like the way the women worked so hard. They would wake up in the morning, prepare breakfast, cook lunch for the family, go to work, come back at lunchtime, and feed their children, and go to school, bring the children, feed them, and go back to work. Come in the evening, cook again. Now, and they produce children, and when they are expecting a baby, they can't work, and they lose that wage for the family because the husband, wife works. Then, when I left school after my senior school certificate, I was hoping to be a lawyer, to enter law college. But just at that time, the British firms decided to recruit 6 Sri Lankans to tea tasting. When I heard this, I made inquiries and I found that the tea commissioner, A.O. Veerasinghe, was an old Peterite, St. Peter's College. So I knew Father D.J. Nicholas Pereda, who was the rector of St. Peter's College. So I went to see him and I said, "If you know, of course I know Gusty, he's my pupil." He phoned Mr. Veerasinghe and he said, "Can you take this boy?" "Yes, of course," he says. And the next day, he took me. So a new field opened to me, but the continuation of my first love, tea estates. So then I learned tea under Mr. O.P. Rust, who was the tea commissioner's tea taster. He retired and went back to England. Then I had the good fortune to join as a trainee Heath and Company, which was the biggest tea company, run by 2 great men, Mr. Sandy Matthewson and Mr. Stan Campbell, Australian and Englishman. They bought about half the tea auction every week. And they trained me. Mr. Matthewson liked me. They trained me very well. And arranged to send me to G.A. Lyons in London for further training. And he was making arrangements. One day, my uncle said, "I'd like you to go to meet Mr. Strasburger of Standard Oil Company." So I met Mr. Sam Selvaya, an executive there, and Mr. Sam Strasburger. And then they offered me a job. I said, "I am doing TTC, but why don't they?" I looked at it, then I said, I was not paid anything. I was learning. And then they said I would get a total of about 2,500 rupees a month. So that attracted me. While I was learning tea tasting, I bought myself a car, borrowed the money from my sister, Morris Minor, EY 4181, and I took some of the tea from Pundulu, Mr. Tundavans and Mr. Madhavan's estates, and sold them to hotels and restaurants in Nigambo, Kochikadi, that whole area, to earn an income and pay the installment on my car. So that was successful, and then I found that at that time the oil inspectors and the oil business training was corrupt in a way. That those who were inspectors who approved filling stations and say this place is suitable for a filling station. Somebody will come there, I will give you 25,000 rupees, give me that place. There are so many people, so they take money and give it to them. I approved stations and the people came to me with money. I said, I am doing my job, I don't want any money. 2-3 times that happened, then I became extremely unpopular with my colleagues. And we had some nasty experiences. I said, I'm doing my job and I will not take money. Then life became unpleasant for me. Just then there was an opening at A.F. Jones. And I went for an interview, I was selected.
So how do you manage to get yourself into the tea industry? What was your turning point?
I learned tea tasting, then I abandoned that and went to the oil company. It was a very good job because of the money. Then I was not willing to do the things they did. Just then there was an opening at A.F. Jones, I came back to tea. And from there, I grew and developed, and I went to London to learn branding and marketing. There, what I saw in London, a place I thought was holy, sacred, astonished me. And I found that it was the British owned the tea industry in India, Sri Lanka, Africa, all over. So they made Mincing Lane the center of the tea world. That's the power of that's the colonial power. Far away, 10,000-12,000 kilometers from where tea is grown was the tea center in London. So our crop was sent there to be auctioned. So countries in Europe, Canada, US bought Ceylon tea from there. So when I realized that what they do there, the blend marketers, brand owners, blenders used largely Ceylon tea, but blended with cheaper teas and sold to consumers as Ceylon tea. So I had so much respect for the British, based on my respect for the A.F. Jones family. I was disillusioned because by mixing the tea with other origins and selling it as Ceylon tea to consumers, they cheat the consumer. They exploit our workers and our industry because through the sweat and toil of our workers, they buy good Ceylon tea, squeezing the producer at a low price and sell it at high prices. They are blended and mixed. So I thought our farmers, tea farmers and their families and workers are in pain. They remain poor. Consumers are being cheated, and we create millionaires and multimillionaires in foreign countries with our sweat and toil. So I thought this cannot be. I said one day I'm going to have my own brand, which will be the only ethically produced tea in the world, by growing our own tea and packing, doing everything in here. And the consumers will get pure Ceylon tea single origin, ethically produced in Sri Lanka. Next day when I woke up, I realized what a fool I am and I'm a dreamer, how can I, it's a good thing. But this dream kept haunting me. 34 years later, I launched Dilmah tea.
You first started selling bulk tea.
Yes, I was the fourth largest bulk tea exporter.
What moved you to develop value-added production?
No, that is my dream from there. This is what I want to do. And I wanted to do it for some time. Then at the first opportunity, I developed that. Then our tea board, Sri Lanka tea board, tea propaganda board, were doling out millions of dollars in the UK and various other countries to foreign companies to develop brands. They would develop brands of their own brands and did no good for Ceylon tea. So I told the people in London first, here, and I told them. Then I realized in London when I went there, we had a London tea centre, enormous white elephant. It was useful at a time when UK imported 180 million pounds of tea every year, year after year. So the presence of tea centres was significant and important. But at that time, their imports had dropped down to about 15 million. We are still perpetuating those bad habits. So when I went there and spent some time, because I was a member of the Ceylon Tea Propaganda Board and the Tea Board, they began to, respect me. And then I went into all these questions. I found they were sponsoring the French advertising agents, family, to create their brand, and we were spending enormous amounts of our team, our producers' money on developing that brand, and they had nobody in Sri Lanka who could produce those things. So they told me, there was a chap, there's a miserable people there. There was the commissioner was Ernest J. Sudasan. He was a lovely, nice PR man, but he knew nothing about tea or the trade. I introduced him to some members of the trade, then he was taking them out for lunch every day and so forth, that's all. Then there were other people, I don't want to mention names, treacherous Sri Lankans. They came to me and said, we are paid only £10 a week, we are the exploiters. So I said, I'll do something. So I came back and told J. Sudasan, I said, this is a crime to get paid £10 a week. Then he told me, the only other place they can go to is the London Transport to be a cleaner in the railway. They'll also get £10. I said, you mustn't treat our people like that. Then cut down the number you want. Instead of 5, get 2, pay them well, look after them. Then, anyway, I came back and told the board, and the chairman, the director general here was Martin Stein. He wouldn't support me. But I got the board support and increased the salary by £5 or something like that. At the same time, I found this chap, getting the French advertising agent to incorporate a new company and register a brand. And he valued advertising, printing, everything there. So I told him, I say, you do this for me, I'll create a brand. He said, yes. But he turned against me. Then I came to Sri Lanka and told the tea board, this is what they're doing. I was on the tea board then. This is what we are doing. We are spending millions of dollars. Why don't you offer it to local exporters and develop our own brand? I will develop my own brand if you give the support. Of course, then Victor Sandhyapilli, who was the EDB chairman, he said, Merrill, that is what we should be doing, not funding other people. I'll create our own brands. Then the tea board supported me. And then they said, you give a plan. I came with the plan. The employees of the tea board who are glorified clerks. They couldn't think beyond that. They decided to block me at every turn. So the organization that should support me blocked me at every turn. I'm writing that in my biography. So I couldn't believe. I said, this is a local brand. They were supporting another local person who had nothing to do with tea. Got him to go and launch the tea with me, with my Dilmah in Australia, by supporting him and not me. So the consumer said, you are promoting Dilmah, but they were advertising this other brand. I said, yes, what to do? So they turned against me, and it's a lesson in in intrigue in the tea board. These chaps used to tell me, I'm waiting for approval for some project on this. Then this chap say, papers are with the chairman, he hasn't signed. 1 week, he hasn't signed. 2 weeks, papers are with the chairman. So I rang the chairman, are you okay? This Oliver Fernando, my friend, because I was the board. Oliver, your papers are hanging on your table for the last 2 weeks. What papers? Merrill, I don't keep any papers beyond 2 days on my table. No, they are with you for 2 weeks. I look into it, they hang me in half an hour. I said, the papers came to me now. This is how our own people help us. And thereafter there is so many things. And that French brand, God's 1868. Nobody had the facilities or the knowledge or experience to process that. This same fellow came to me and, can you please help? I said, okay, I developed a brand, packaging, we have our own printing packages, printing services, all those, and sent out the first shipment. One day, one of our employees said, yeah, sir, I saw that the Frenchman, the 1816, in town. I said, find out. So our fellows traced him, came to the office. So I said, what are you doing here? Why didn't you come to see us? Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Agarwat, told us to come. He will introduce us to another supplier who will give cheaper. These are our old people.
Let's talk about your brand Dilmah. Take me back to the memories of naming your brand. How you came up with the name and...
I had nothing. I had the commitment, and I knew if we could get a pure Ceylon tea into the market, it will sell. So I was planning and thinking of a brand. Then I talked to one or two close friends. He said, I was thinking, what can you? He said, they all said, get an English brand. I thought English brand would be another brand in the market. I looked for a local brand, and I thought, I will name it after my children. And I said, Dilmah, D-I-L-M-A, Dilhan and Malik. Then I got the first print run with Dilmah. Then our distributor went to a top agency there, and they said, it doesn't balance, we'll put the H, Dilmah. And then I knew that if I could say the brand is named after my son, that emphasizes my commitment to the brand. So that's the first best thing I did to the brand, to name it after my children. That is sacred to me. Then we were normally, when a new new brand is launched, you get a celebrity to say, this is your son, so people look at our whole. So the agency told me, you have to do this. I said, I couldn't see myself on the television screen and So we got Kamal, his parents were Sri Lankan. He was in Malaysia. He was a famous singer, Kamal, great voice. So we brought him here and shot a film and launched the tea and started slowly picking up. Then they said, so now you must get on the film. So I said, we did a cheap $2,500 TV commercial. I went to a friend's house, got a chair, a flower pot, and I said, Dilmah is my own tea, named after my children. The brand is sacred to me, the name is sacred to me. And then Dilmah is my family.
It's not just a brand, it's a story that
No, that's what I just said. And I made a story, and that is family, and associated the family with the brand. So now we see advertisements, all the children, the families, and now we did a recent one where I did that one, the whole family, children, all that, about 15 years ago. So we repeated the same thing about 2 weeks ago. So we put it on the Facebook, people come back and, oh, amazing family. So we have now made Dilmah a family product. Housewives love it. People, even today, when I go to Australia and New Zealand and walk on the streets, they say, hello, Mr. Dilmah, can I take a picture with you? Can you sign my pack? Things like that, even today. And because they had an attachment to the brand, because they said, Dilmah has a face to it. It is not a faceless multinational brand. So they say it's coming from this brand. So in marketing, there are certain things that you can do. So all I did was inspired by God. From the very beginning till today, there are things which I do I can never count for. All this happens. And I can tell you for your information, I don't want you to publish it, I don't keep them. I was awarded Oslo Business for Peace by the Nobel Peace Laureates Committee. That is, the Nobel Peace Prize is won. For business, they gave this. I went in 2015. I went there with my two sons. When I got this award, I was surprised. Then, when I see squirrels coming inside. When I went there, I was surprised at the treatment I got. It was my 85th birthday. And when I got the award, I made a speech, exactly what my mother taught me, this and this. And I made the speech, and I was leaving. He said, no, please wait. 1,000 people in the audience sang happy birthday. So many people, even Ranil Vikramasinge is a very good friend of mine. He called me, Merrill, we are proud of this for Ceylon also, you must give publicity. I said, please don't, I didn't tell anybody. Because when you get things like that, even Desa money, I refused 3 governments. With this government, my children said, you must take. Except that I don't use it, because our people don't like success. And that's the nature. If you are doing something well, I'm jealous of you. I cannot analyze what that is.
And Dilmah is a single origin.
Yes, always.
Tell that story also, from your tea garden to our teacup.
So, my story is just taking what nature has given us. I take single origin because I don't mix it around. As what nature and God has given us, I take that tea and give it to the customers. So that now several people, when I start something on the pack, I said, I have a very important phase that Dilmah founder has devoted his life to tea. He has learned much about tea. His love and passion for tea is unmatched. You can't buy that. So, Twinings people once told me, what a statement. You can't buy that, no, you can't, what I have in my head, my family, you can't buy that for money. But every other brand they will buy. You can't buy what is in your heart. I remember Twinings, Bob Twinings said, what a powerful statement. So I did, and then 3 months later, single origin, our people copy. But after 6-7 months, it died down. So, unless you have the commitment and love for that, you cannot do that.
Do you believe in luck or astrology?
No, I don't believe in luck. I believe in hard work. Lucy, even now, if I say, well, I want to do something like that, many people say, no, don't mad, you can't do it. But I always try to do things which I can reach with effort. So I strive, and divine guidance is always there behind me. But if it is something bad, something I will not succeed, somehow I will not go further. I may get ideas, how do you do that? But most ideas I have planned now, even the way I run my companies, I change things. Then they say, see, our country, the weakness is, we are used to doing the things we did 150 years ago. We have continued to do it. When you try to jump out of the box, they all pull you back into the box. Now, I'm embarrassed to tell you, when I was appointed to the Tea Propaganda Board by the Chamber of Commerce, I changed a lot of things. I became very unpopular. But people opened their eyes and see the board members supported me. And the chamber, the managing director, the director of the chamber, no, not the chamber, of the Ceylon Tea Propaganda Board, talked to the chamber secretary and told him, don't send Merrill Fernando, and he's being a nuisance, he has got some problems like that. Please don't send him again. So he knew what I was doing. So the secretary, when my 2-year term was over, who I appointed, they appointed, he asked the secretary. Secretary, I have given you the best man. Now, who is it? He said, Merrill Fernando. So he was so mad with me. Then, when I was appointed to the tea board, the tea trade and the brokers went in deputation to Mr. Panditaratna. NGP Panditaratna was the secretary of the UNP, and told him that I am not suitable. He said, I didn't know Pandit then, but he knew of me. I said, what is the problem? He is not a team player, he doesn't do what I said. If he is not a team player, get him into your team and talk sense. No, he doesn't listen to anybody, does his things and all. He said, it's a good thing to have a rebel. So nothing happened. Then they went to President Jayawardena, again whom I knew very well. Pandit I didn't know. Mr. Jayawardena I knew very well. So they went to him and told him, so he's the minister's, then I was married to Montague Jayawardana's daughter at the time. He said he's the minister's son-in-law. And he's not a team player. He said, what doesn't he do? He said, if he's the best man, if he has been appointed, fall in line with him. Then, as Pandit had said, if he's a rebel, get him round or listen to what he says. Then they said, the minister has shares in his company. So Mr. Jayawardena told my ex-father-in-law, please sell the shares. And they trade, because I never did the old habits. System, I change the system. My success is unbelievable. So, but all I did is to take Ceylon tea to the market. Ceylon tea is all my job. So I didn't say I have brought this. I said I brought you Ceylon tea, grown by me, packed by me, all done. So it's the, now you see, also I have, this is my 70th year in the tea industry. So I have learned a lot because I have traveled the world. I have gone, I spent on promoting and advertising Dilmah no less than 1.6 billion every year. And what do I do? Pure Ceylon tea, world's finest, and all the other people get the benefit of Ceylon tea. So in short, my success in everything in life is owed to God.
You are a tea taster too. How many cups of tea that you drink per day, and how do you like it?
I drink, I have got a variety of teas, green tea, herbal infusions with turmeric, cinnamon, all those things. I drink about 6 or 7 mugs a day, and my son drinks about 10. Yeah, and I drink plain. If you add milk and sugar, it's a disaster. So you must not do either. So even at this time, COVID, now bad news is serious COVID has started in China yesterday. So this will not end.
You have 2 lovely kids also.
Yes.
How, with a successful business in your hand, how did you balance your work and your life?
Well, the important thing is they had no mother, because I left my wife when Malik was 4 years and Dilmah was 2 years. My really achievement, my friends know, is bringing up those 2 kids. Now today, if I tell them do so and so, no question, they will do. Both children. That is what they knew, my commitment and dedication to them, what I sacrificed. I never remarried. I spent all my time on them, built up the business, and they are very serious, responsible children, and that they are fully aware of what I sacrificed in life, and now they follow in my footsteps, their values. My elder son is a little bit flashy, but my younger son Dilmah has all my habits, he's in charge of tea and the foundation. Malik does a brilliant job in the leisure industry. We have the 3 best villa concept hotels. Our rates are over $1,000 a day, always full except now, and and they are booked maybe 1 year forward in normal times. So both are very clever and very responsible, and my grandchildren are very good. Malik has 2 daughters. The elder daughter, Kiara, is at Bristol Medical College in England. She passed out as a doctor last Wednesday. Tasha, the second daughter, is a chartered accountant. She finishes with Eva in London, I think next 22 June. She will come and join the firm. And Dilmah's son, Amrit, is at, they went to, my 2 sons went to Stonehurst College, a Jesuit college in England, private school. And Amrit and his brother Devin went to Marlborough, a British school operating from Johor, 40 minutes from Singapore. By British teachers, British management, all very good, very British education with Asian culture, not the British culture. So they are there, and the girl is, they have a daughter, Amaya. She's at the British school, very responsible, doing well. So I have good reason to be happy, and for the blessings I have received from Almighty God.
You're a proud father, a very successful businessman. What is the one thing would you like to share with me or anyone per se from your life as advice?
The greatest issue successful people face is humility. They become proud of their achievements. If you lose your sense of humility, if you're born with that, like me, a very humble man, if you lose that, you have lost everything. Because I can show more looks and go around. That is not going to impress anybody. They will say, look at that fellow. People must say, see, he has been successful, but he's a humble man. Now people tell me, when I'm in office, I have my priority. Because the managers don't allow junior employees to come and see me. So I told them properly, priority is my factory workers when they want to see me. Then, accordingly. With the managers, I am with you every day. So they tell me, why should you see them? I should see them because I have the common touch. And I'll never get them to do any harm, to they exploit the children. You know that when COVID appeared in March, we gave a bonus for Sinhala New Year. We gave the bonus. And good employees came and said, sir, why do you want to give this now? I said, no, that's nothing. COVID has nothing to do with this. Then came Christmas, came another bonus. So people realized that, I say, we have bad times, but the good times won't come to us if we handle the bad times badly. So the only thing is, one thing I tell you is, practice humility, everything will fall in line.
Thank you very much for joining with us, Mr. Fernando. It was a lovely interview, wonderful talk, and we learn a lot from you. I hope our audience will also learn a lot from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. You're most welcome.
Sri Lanka Business TV.